Good morning, everybody. This is Thomas Felder, and we are here with an edition of Wellness Tuesday. Wellness Tuesday. And today we're talking about phytochemicals. What is fighting for your body? This is a presentation that my daughter and her classmates, I guess her people in her science major, all of them going for trying to be doctors and such in the pre-med field. So they did an awesome presentation on this week's Sabbath. We got a recording of it. The school said that I have permission to replay it, and I want y'all to see it. It talks about fruits and vegetables that you should eat and what the benefits of each of those fruits and vegetables are if you take them, and what you are missing if you don't, what you are missing if you don't take them. So without any further ado, I'm just going to pray us in and we'll jump right in. The presentation is just about an hour long. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for your grace and mercy and kindness towards us. We just pray, Father, that we will learn the right things to put into our bodies and the things that we ought not put in them. Our bodies are the temple of your spirit, Father, and we want to protect it and keep it well so it can run as best as possible. We ask these and so many more blessings in your holy son, Yeshua's name. Amen, amen, and amen again. All right, so here we go.
So the things that we will be covering in this presentation is the elements that are fighting for your body, important fruits and vegetables that have these elements in them, and then a food for thought with fun facts at the end. So what are phytochemicals? Phytochemicals? These are the biological compounds in plants that are used for the plant to defend itself usually, but they also contain medicinal properties that helps us humans to be able to flourish in our health. They add to the color of plants and also the scent and smell, and they also help with carcinogens. Usually they will either reduce or help to prevent cancerous ailments from occurring. Then they also have antioxidant properties which help reduce free radicals. And free radicals usually interfere with the different chemical reactions that occurs in your body. And when that happens, it does not lead to good things. So some of the phytochemicals, there are categories of phytochemicals, and flavonoids is one of the categories. And these contain fruits and vegetables that have flavonoids in it have antioxidant properties. They help ward off toxins, and they decrease risk of chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease. And they also provide blocking agents to prevent certain viruses and bacteria from taking over your body. And they also suppress certain things from happening. And then if there is a virus that's transforming things, they will be able to also transform the virus in a way so it won't be harmful to your body. And they also contain anti-inflammation properties, which usually occurs when an antigen enters your body. And then you have your terpenes. These are responsible for the aromatic aspect of your fruits and vegetables, which is why here on the picture you have your pine and lavender, which has very pungent smells. And they also help with aromatherapy. Usually aromatherapy has been used to alleviate stress. It clears the airways, helps brighten up moods depending on which ones you use and things like that. Some can be helpful for muscle relaxation and things like that. And then there are also anti-plasmodial, which means that they help fight against parasites. And they also contribute to the taste, such as just like your flavonoids do. And they also help with antimicrobial activities. And then the last group that you have is your phenols. These are also aromatic compounds, and they contain antioxidation properties that helps prevent the free radicals from spreading throughout your body, and also helps tissues to repair itself and prevent the further damage of tissues. They have also been known to relieve sore throats when you're sick, and they contain antiseptic properties to help sanitize, keep things clean. Sometimes phenols can be used in soaps, and also they contribute to the taste of the foods that you eat. And as you see here in the picture, they're the dark berries usually, like they're usually in foods that the colors are very dark. And here's a little video just summarizing what phytochemicals are.
Okay.
Where would that be found? Would it be here?
There we go.
Phytochemicals are compounds in plant foods that provide a wide range of important health benefits. For marketing purposes, the media has nicknamed many of these foods superfoods. While this term is pretty fancy, their benefits are too good to ignore. Carotenoids, flavonoids, polyphenols, and resveratrol are a few types of phytochemicals you may recognize. Since this is a hot topic in nutrition, there are currently a handful of phytochemicals being researched and studied by scientists who may discover many more. Studies have shown a diet rich in phytochemicals can reduce plaque buildup in your arteries and reduce your risk for heart disease. Studies of one specific group of phytochemicals, polyphenols, found in blueberries and strawberries, have shown a decrease in cancer cell growth. Fortunately for you, phytochemicals are found in a variety of plant foods, especially fruits and vegetables. A few common food sources with phytochemicals include blueberries, chili peppers, garlic, onions, citrus fruits, eggplant, tomatoes, and legumes. To increase variety, eating many different colors of fruits and vegetables is one step towards boosting the phytochemicals in your diet. Now, you may see supplements in stores advertising that they contain phytochemicals. While supplements are great in certain scenarios, you'll get the greatest health benefits from eating whole foods with this compound instead. Lastly, research is still ongoing to understand exactly how these foods impact our health. For more information, I recommend you meet with your registered dietitian to learn more about how you can increase phytochemicals in your diet.
And now we're about to learn about some of the various fruits and vegetables that contains these phytochemicals that will help us.
All right, hi. Today, Andisa and I will be talking a little bit about this. Do you mind going back to the last slide? Yep, so all of those phytochemicals and all of those flavonoids are really important for creating this variety of color that we see. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about a different vegetable or different one or two vegetables from each of these categories and talk about a little bit of their benefits in the next slide. Eggplant, which is our vegetable for purple, is rich in anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are an actual type of phytochemical, and what they do is that they are really important antioxidants that protect cells from free radicals, as we talked about. In addition, it reduces heart disease, and the way that it does that is that it reduces LDL cholesterol and triglyceride levels. Triglyceride being any calories that aren't used is going to be turned into triglycerides, which is going to be fat inside of the body if it goes unused. They are really high in fiber and phenols, and they're low in calories. Why is it beneficial that it's high in fiber and phenols? Well, fiber and phenols both help reduce sugar absorption and increase insulin secretion, which help lower blood sugar. And that low in calories is just a an add-on that's just super great, because instead of, going for a chicken Parmesan, you can always go for an eggplant Parmesan. And a lot of these dishes that you would put meat in traditionally, you can put eggplant in because it's so high in fiber, but low in calories. I think it's somewhere around like 3 grams of fiber for every 20 calories, which is really great. And also it has a lot of cancer fighting agents.
The next fruit that we have will be which would be blueberries. I thought it was really important, and I thought the biggest fact about blueberries is their high antioxidants content. I include this one because antioxidants, they're really great for neutralizing radicals, and radicals contribute to DNA damage, which contributes to aging, cancer, blood pressure. So also we have here that 1 serving of blueberries contains many benefits such as carbohydrates, proteins, calcium, and potassium and vitamin C. Go on to the next slide.
So talking a little bit about spinach is that they are super rich in magnesium, iron, and calcium. Magnesium is really important for increasing your metabolism, regulating your heart rhythm, and maintaining blood pressure. Iron is what allows the blood to kind of like go through your body. And so the tighter that your iron can kind of bind to that oxygen is the better that it's going to go through at your body. Calcium, instead of grabbing that glass of milk, always go for a handful of spinach because it has such great bone health properties for it. It also is really rich in antioxidants, lutein and zeaxanthin for eyesight. And it boosts immunity by thickening the mucous membranes. And so the mucous membranes that we have around our nose and also around our mouth are really important for protecting the entryways that different pathogens can get in and infect us with very harmful diseases. But the thicker this lining is, the less likely that those pathogens are going to get into our system to do some pretty bad damage. In addition, it's very high in potassium, and it reduces blood sugar. And the way that it reduces blood sugar is by affecting the sodium in the body. And in the next slide, I'm going to be talking about bananas.
Okay, for our bananas, which is the yellow, I included potassium because I know a lot of us may catch cramps at random times. And what potassium does is it kind of balances the sodium content side of the cells, and that helps with contraction. It also maintains bone health, improves muscle health, and kidney disease prevention. Again, as I mentioned, it helps keeping sodium outside the cells. Bananas are also beneficial because they contain many vitamins, and those vitamins contribute to metabolism, immune health, and protecting our body from harmful factors. I would say external factors such as cigarette smoke or pesticides if we live near a farm or a garden.
And mangoes. How could we forget mangoes? Mangoes are so delicious. And even more than that, they are so nutritious. The flesh, peel, and seed have over a dozen different phytochemicals. If you're a person that eats all of the mangoes, you're receiving so many different minerals and nutrients. 2 of those specific phytochemicals that I would like to highlight are anthocyanins, as we talked about with our eggplant, and magniferin, which is really good for your heart, protecting against inflammation, oxidative stress, and cell death. In addition, that 1 cup of mangoes can produce 75% of the daily vitamin C that you need. And not only having vitamin C, but also having very high amounts of vitamin A, K, and B, and folate is critical for producing immunity in your system. And so producing more white blood cells to recognize and fight disease in the body. One of the most kind of special parts that I thought about mango is that it improves digestive health, because when you eat a nice juicy mango, it has so much moisture that comes out. That's really important for your digestion. And so if you are having all of this water and fiber, it actually has a special digestive enzyme that helps with there's actually a special digestive enzyme that actually helps digestion in the body. It's called amylases. And it's even been proven in studies that when you eat a mango in the same amount that you're going to be taking a soluble fiber, the mango is more effective at getting rid of that constipation in the body. In our next slide, we're going to be talking about dates.
For dates, our brown fruit, I would like to include that it is high in fiber. As we know that dates, they help you go better when we were younger. Our parents would give us dates to make us go. That's because they increase the amount of fluid that are allowed in our colon, and that increases bowel movements and thus prevents constipation. Another highlight is that it improves brain health. Studies show in rats that the rats had just been fed for a week for dates, and just improved their cognitive health by improving their memory, reduce anxiety, increasing their learning abilities with certain tests. And labor, which I thought this one was really interesting. If you just consumed 6 days on average, about 2 weeks before your labor, that would increase your cervical dilation and increase your chances of going into labor naturally instead of being dilated or induced.
And beets. Beets are this beautiful red color, and the deepness of that red color is really telling of their nutrient value that they have. Beets are really special because they actually contain at least a little bit of every necessary vitamin and mineral that you need for your body. Now, that is crazy to say that one vegetable has all of those types of nutrients in it. So special ones I would like to highlight are folate, which is really important for growth, development, and heart health. Manganese, which is important for bone formation, nutrient metabolism, and brain function. Copper especially is a mineral that's required for energy production and the synthesis of certain neurotransmitters. In addition, it decreases systolic and diastolic blood pressure using nitrates. Why should we care about our systolic and diastolic blood pressure? Well, systolic pressure is the force produced when the heart, by the heart when it pumps blood out of the body. And so it's all of that work. You know, when you're going on a run and you feel like your heart beating out of your chest, that kind of pressure would be your systolic pressure. But your diastolic pressure is the pressure in your blood vessels when the heart is at rest. And so if you're, just sitting, you're going to really be kind of having what your pressure is inside of your arteries. And the reason why these two are so important is that if your systolic pressure is too high, you could be at risk for heart disease, a heart attack, or stroke, because so many years of the heart beating double time is going to be really hard on your body. For diastolic, it can lead to aortic heart disease. Having an aortic aneurysm, you're going to have almost like a bubble-ish form in the aorta. And if it ruptures, now you have a ruptured blood vessel. And that's not necessarily really great for the body to have internal bleeding like that. And in addition, it also boosts cardiorespiratory performance because it regulates the heart so well. They actually had many studies where when athletes drink or eat beets at least an hour, 2 hours before any type of track meet or any type of activity that they do, they actually performed way better because they had more oxygen going to the different parts of the body. And lastly, it has really great anti-inflammatory effects. And in the next slide, we're going to be talking a little bit about grapefruit.
Okay, we have grapefruit here, which is our pink fruit. And again, this flavonoid word comes up again, as Jada mentioned. Flavonoids are very important because they help with cell signaling, and that's really great for, I would say, prevention. So anything immune related. So it would help with anti-inflammatory or from damages that come from oxidation. Grapefruit is also great for insulin resistance. It reduces blood glucose levels in our bodies. And another one I wanted to mention that's not on the slide is that grapefruits, although they don't really taste good in my opinion, they're really great for the heart because they protect the heart. They reduce the buildup in arteries and relieve pressure on the heart. And they're also high in antioxidants. And as I mentioned before with the blueberries, antioxidants are really great for neutralizing radicals, which lead to DNA damage. So again, this slows the aging process, and it also lowers the risk of cancer.
All right, thank you all for sharing that. We're going to jump into food for thought, and we're going to just discuss cardiovascular disease prevention. because this is a very prevalent disease within our community and globally as well. So you can go to the next slide. So what is cardiovascular disease? Cardiovascular disease, I'm also going to call it CVD. It can refer to a numerous amount of different conditions that include heart attack, heart disease, stroke, heart failure, and heart arrhythmia. And we see that this is the number one killer in the world, among not only in the United States, but globally. This is number one, and about 18.6 million people die every year from this disease. And so I think it's important to highlight it and highlight the risk factors of it. So as you can see in the first figure, there are some risk factors for CVD. And that is one, I would like to point out, is an unhealthy diet. So we're just going to talk a little bit about that throughout the rest of these slides. But I also want to note that with that, it's also the number one killer for women, and that they suffer heart attacks. And it's a threat to women because it's the most leading cause of death for them in the United States. And I don't think a lot of people know that. And so I think it's important for women to improve their health. And we're going to talk about how they can improve their health by eating a healthy diet, and just some other things that contribute, such as like exercising, maintaining a healthy weight, knowing your family history, and, not smoking and limiting alcohol. So as we go on to these next slides, you will see, and I'm going to talk about next, the African American portion. You can, yeah. So this infographic shows that African Americans are more likely to die from high blood pressure, diabetes, strokes, so things that lead to these cardiovascular diseases. In 2018, African Americans were 30% more likely to die from heart disease than non-Hispanic whites. And although African American adults are 40% more likely to have high blood pressure, they are less likely than non-Hispanic whites to have their blood pressure under control. So that is really big. So they'll know that they have it, but they don't know what to do to, either decrease their levels or maintain it from getting higher, their high blood pressure. So I think that's really important to note. And also I wanted to note that African American women have the highest rates of obesity or being overweight compared to any other group in the United States. And about 4 out of 5 African American women are either overweight or obese. And so in 2018, African Americans were 20% less likely to engage in active physical activity compared to non-Hispanic whites. So I feel like, diet as well as exercise contribute to a lot of the issues that we have in our community. And so in these next slides, I'm going to share with you how we can reduce this risk for CVD. So in the prior slides, Adriana and Adisa did a beautiful job of explaining and going into detail of what each fruit and different fruit groups do. And so I wanted to highlight how berries are a central role in heart health. And they play an important part because they're jam-packed with so many important nutrients. And so like they mentioned, they're filled with antioxidants, like anthocyanins. I want to make sure I pronounce that right. And also flavonoids. Strawberries have a lot of flavonoids in them. And I think that these studies have shown that eating lots of berries can reduce several factors of heart disease. And so you can even see in this example on the page how you had 120 middle-aged subjects with elevated blood lipids, they were given 160 milligrams of anthocyanins supplements or placebo twice a day for 12 weeks. The supplement increased their HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol in their body, up by 14%, and it lowered the LDL cholesterol. We call those the lousy cholesterol, and it decreased it by 14%. So their cholesterol removal from cells increased 20%. And I also want to highlight another study where people were eating blueberries daily, and it improved their function of cells that line with the blood vessels, which help control blood pressure and blood clotting. So I think it's important that we try to at least eat one of these berries seen in front of you a day, because it can make a significant change in weeks. Not even, they didn't say years, it's weeks. So I think it's really important to just start while you're young. You can start right now to just start incorporating it day by day into your daily activities. That's the next slide, please. So grape goodness, I want to highlight how these grapes look. The cluster of the grapes is in the shape of a heart. I know you've probably seen maybe a heart on the internet, or maybe you've seen it in person or on TV, but this is how a heart looks, the shape of it. And each of those grapes look like a blood cell. And so I think it's important to note that these grapes have polyphenols, that have protective effects on the heart and blood vessels. And so eating grapes, studies have shown that eating grapes can reduce blood clotting, abnormal heart rhythms, and blood vessel narrowing. And it has lowered the blood pressure in your body in people that have hypertension. So I know my mom loves to eat grapes, so she's shown me, how to eat grapes. And I think it's important, if you find the grapes, that if you can find grapes that are with seeds, it makes it even better. I've seen a lot of like seedless grapes in the grocery stores, which are okay, but most of those have been GMO'd, because when you have a fruit, you're supposed to have the seed in them. So I feel like sometimes it takes away from the nutrients when you don't have the seed. So just try to be on the lookout for those that have seedless fruits versus seeds in the fruit, because I feel like they have more nutritional aspects in those with seeds. You can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So now we're going to talk about tomatoes in the heart. And I looked at the tomato, and it looked like the tomato has 4 chambers, just like the heart has 4 chambers. And it's been shown, research has shown that these tomatoes are loaded with lycopene, and they are used to cleanse the heart and the blood within your body. And so, when you're cooking at home, if you use fresh tomatoes within like your spaghetti, or using fresh tomatoes on a sandwich, that would be a good way to incorporate the lycopene and clean your blood and clean, your heart of the different waste that might be going through your body and your cells. Thank you. So they've already talked about spinach a little bit, but I just wanted to highlight how spinach also has a great source of vitamin K, and this actually protects your arteries and promotes proper blood clotting from happening. And studies have shown that increasing a leafy green vegetable, whether it's spinach, kale, collard greens, they're found that it's associated with 16% lower incidence of heart disease. That's a lot. And I feel that having this in your diet throughout the day is really important, along with other vegetables that were seen earlier, and just incorporating all of them together. So maybe having like um, sauteed spinach, or maybe steamed spinach, or just eating it raw is good. But one thing you don't want to do is overcook your spinach, because when it's in the heat, it's actually, or in the heat for too long, it actually is taking and pulling the nutrients out of your vegetables. So just not overcooking it would be great, because you won't lose as much nutrients versus when they're raw. It has so many nutrients. But also I wanted to highlight avocados because they're an excellent source of unsaturated fats and potassium. And these help to lower your cholesterol and your blood pressure and your risk of metabolic syndrome. And so people have done studies on avocados and said that getting at least 4.7 grams of potassium from these avocados per day can decrease your blood pressure by an average of 15% and lower your stroke risk as well. So you can go to the next slide. Thank you. And this graph is just to show how the stroke or cardiovascular disease or all causes of mortality have decreased when you eat fruits and vegetables at least 3 times a day versus just once a day. So this is just a graph showing how all of these have reduced by incorporating all these vegetables, at least in your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, or at least in like having 2 types of vegetables in your lunch, or maybe having 1 type at dinner. Having those vegetables at least 3 times a day, or, you know, mixing it up can definitely decrease your risk for cardiovascular. All right, so I also just wanted to note really quick how important nuts and grains are in our diets, because they have unsaturated fats and omega-3 fatty acids like you can get from fish, like salmon. And they're really important because people have done studies that have showed that people who don't eat nuts or have almost never ate nuts versus people who do eat at least 1 ounce of nuts or five or more times per week have had 14% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and 20% lower risk of coronary heart disease. So at least, you know, incorporating that in one of your meals, incorporating pistachios maybe before you go to bed, or putting almonds in a smoothie, or just having peanuts on you for a snack, or some sunflower seeds is just really important. And it can be done. It's doable unless you're allergic to nuts, then don't try it at home. But if you're able to just eat that as a snack, you know, that would be really good to get that intake in as well. And so next is just a graph as well, showing how people had different types of nuts, and the highest one that showed that were really rich in phytosteroids were the peanuts. And so you can see from the chart on the right how eating nuts 1 to 4 times a week was almost as high as the eating them 5 times per week. But you can see like there was a change in the risk for diabetes when they ate it more. So the 5 times per week, at least eating it 5 days out of the week, it decreased the chance of getting type 2 diabetes significantly. So yeah, just be able to incorporate those would be really good as well. And so in summary, we've provided a list of different fruits and vegetables that will, and nuts and grains that will be able to help you receive the phytochemicals that your body needs to reduce these chronic diseases and different ailments that we are exposed to daily from our environment. And these can ensure that you receive optimal health if you're consistent. And I believe that, you know, when we start doing these things, when we start being an example to our children or our friends or our cousins, this will help us be able to diminish the high amounts of cardiovascular disease that we see in our communities and our world. And so just being in a meeting like this and getting information like this, you can be able to pass along and to share to others who may not know. And you'll be able to incorporate this in your daily lives and your food. So I hope you all were blessed by this. This is a short video of Dr. Baxter Montgomery. He's a physician in Texas who is focused on plant-based nutrition, and he's also a MD. So he incorporates that into his actual practice. So just enjoy this video. I hope you learned something from it, and I hope this blesses you all in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Baxter Montgomery. I'm a cardiologist and cardiac electrophysiologist here in Houston, Texas. 13 years ago, we started integrating our clinical treatment with plant-based nutrition. So the heart here is in congestive heart failure, beating around 20 to 24%. Here it's beating about 50%. After being on a plant-based diet for 78 days, much improved. Someone in her condition may have needed, surgery, could have needed a bypass surgery. She may have needed a defibrillator. She may have even, been placed on the heart transplant list. But instead of that, with plant-based nutrition, the heart improved significantly. And these are the types of findings we see on a regular basis. It's important for individuals to know that, despite how sick you are, we've seen individuals who are very ill. In fact, I've treated 2 different patients who were in the hospital on life support. One person on life support, we fed her green food through her PEG tube, and I detoxed her in the hospital, and she eventually walked out. So don't give up. We haven't gotten into the most fundamental aspect of our health, which is how we take care of the human frame. And it's as simple as plant-based food, fresh air, sunshine, and water. So there's a huge obsession with protein, and a lot of this has to do with the education of the nutrition and medical community, or perhaps miseducation, if you will, and protein is emphasized. The Western society, as with other societies, animal protein is a major component of what people eat. When I was growing up, you didn't have a meal if there was not, dead animal flesh on the table. Animal protein can trigger inflammation. It has adverse effects on the kidney. It can have adverse effects on the blood vessels, adverse effects on the heart. You get more than enough protein from plant-based foods. The most important nutrient, in my opinion, is water. The healthy human body in its healthy state is about 70-75% water. I'll pose a question. I say, well, if you were, left on an island and deserted for just, let's say 25 days, you can have 25 days worth of baked chicken, or you have 25 days of water. You can't have both, one or the other. And almost invariably, people choose the water because they know that they can't survive 25 days without water. As much as we emphasize eating the proper food, which starts and ends with a plant-based diet, it's also important to get fresh air and sunshine on a regular basis. So at least a couple of hours. Man-made rainbows. Oh, wow. Another patient who's currently in her mid-90s came to see us at the age of 89, and at that time she was taking about 22 medications, including about 40 units of insulin twice a day. And she'd been on insulin for 40 years. We put her on a raw detox, and we got off the insulin within a couple of days of her being on a raw detox. She's down to taking no medication the last I've seen, and she hardly has to come and see us as a patient. She's in her mid-90s now. I came into this arena as a traditional doctor, doing procedures and putting them on the optimal medications. However, when I made this discovery for my own health and then subsequently for my patients, I made a major change. As far as I know, we're the only facility in the United States that has an on-site plant-based restaurant that integrates it all in one. If I'm a physician who likes steak and eggs, it would be very difficult for me to counsel and aggressively counsel a patient away from eating these foods. This is our commercial kitchen, our restaurant, and The medical facility of the future will have a designated restaurant kitchen that functions not only from a culinary standpoint, but also from a scientific standpoint. We see individuals in severe congestive heart failure, which is often thought of as a death sentence. But when they make fundamental changes in the way they eat, they go from a death sentence to a life sentence. And that's an important differential.
I'm Patricia Wiggins, and this is my husband, Carl. He's Dr. Montgomery's patient. In this 3-week time, he's eliminated about 40 pounds of fluid from his body, and his mental clarity is much better, and he's now walking without his cane. When we came in, he could barely walk with the cane, and he had to hold on to me or to the wall or something to steady himself.
So what you can see here is a model of an artery, and there's several slices here. And when someone consumes a diet high in saturated fat, and saturated fat, by the way, is code word for animal protein fat. If you then start to look anywhere an artery has this amount of disease, you're compromising blood flow to that organ. And if a thin core ruptures, that's what leads to a heart attack. And so this predisposed to heart disease. This is the type of lesion that would be considered for a stent placement or for bypass surgery. However, you can reverse this type of disease with optimal plant-based nutrition. It was that severe.
He wanted to make food our medicine and not pharmaceuticals. The added bonus is the fact that he is an MD, he is a cardiologist, he does know that part of medicine, and he's not against it if it's needed.
So if you were to look at all of the healthcare facilities here, all the hospitals, all the emergency rooms in this expansive medical center, and we were to walk around and search for one patient who was suffering from protein deficiency, we'd be challenged to find one. In regards to the prevalence of heart disease among different ethnic groups, the CDC clearly shows that African American women have the most heart disease in terms of prevalence and morbidity mortality from heart disease. Next to them would be African American men. More women die from heart disease than men in general, and then more African American women die from heart disease than any other race, gender segment that we know of. Availability, convenience, these are all important things that I find, and I think it's going to make a difference the more we make the food available. People do not realize how delicious plant food is. At the end of the day, it's going to be the food that makes the difference. I have a lot of friends who are ethical vegans, and I applaud you. When I came into eating plant-based, I wasn't aware of the horrors that happen to animals, and I think there's more messaging needs to come about with that. The other aspect of being ethical vegans is that we have to look at our own bodies, and we have to be ethical to ourselves first and foremost, because if we're not healthy, then we can't be a benefit to others, animals, etc. So I often tell my patients that the number one animal you want to be ethical to is yourself. So foods that are minimally processed, raw, you want a lot of live foods that has the water content is maintained. These are going to be some of the most healthy foods, and if it is cooked, you want to either dehydrate it at relatively low temperatures, boil or steam it. And these are some simple approaches that individuals can take to consume a diet that's not only healthy for the environment as a whole, but also healthy for your local environment, which is your body. If we can fundamentally change the way we eat, we can get rid of the need for so much expense and so much time and effort toward helping people get better, or I should say, helping people live with their illnesses. We can just simply change what they eat, we can help them reverse their conditions and live a healthier life.
Yes, so as you all saw in the video, Dr. Montgomery explained why having a plant-based diet is optimal for people who are experiencing different chronic illnesses and just people in general, why it's important to start now to regain your life back and not have to just, sit and have those ailments and just treat them with the pharmaceuticals, but to actually have a life sentence instead of a death sentence from eating these fruits and vegetables and incorporating them into your life. So I hope you were blessed by this video. I hope you were blessed by this presentation. And thank you for having us snack here
Hi, I'm Dr. Baxter Montgomery.
with you all. And without further ado,
All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I did put in the chat the link for today's presentation, so you're welcome to share it. Again, that was my daughter and some of her classmates. Most of them are pre-med students. And Dr. Montgomery is somebody who is kind of encouraging these would-be, soon-to-be would-be doctors to incorporate health, meaning healthy diet, exercise, water, and sunshine into a traditional medical practice. And so I am glad that he's catching these students early before they even in med school and teaching them how to do that. So he's the mentor to the group, and you got a chance to see his video. I do see Amelia's hand up. I do see quite a few comments on YouTube. I'm going to try to share some of those with you guys as well. Go ahead, Sister Amelia.
Good morning, everyone. Several years ago, I took a trip to San Antonio, and the ideal was I had heard about him. Someone told me about him. I was involved in a women's group for health and weight loss. And I found out about him and I contacted his facility. I actually flew to Texas, drove to Houston and met him. So his restaurant and all of that, I ate the food. It's amazing. And I don't know if he still does it, but you can actually contact him. People who are sick can contact him from wherever they are in the country, contact his clinic and make appointments. You can fly down, he'll treat patients. Sometimes those that are local, they actually provide the food for the clients as outpatient. You buy packages and you go pick up your food weekly as though you're doing a prescription like medicine. They provide the food. He has several books, and Thomas, I'll send a couple of them to you so you can see what some of them are and you can share. Several books that he has that he's written with food programs to help people in their life journey. He's a really amazing guy. So I did get to meet him when I was there. So the program is excellent.
I think there's a chance we might be able to get him on the call. Again, he's the mentor for this group of students, and he's very actively engaged with them. So
he also does a weekly pod. I think he still does. I don't remember what it's called, but he does have a weekly podcast that he does, a live podcast that he does talking about health and different health topics.
Good. Grateful for you sharing. I see Sister Roxy's hand up, and I'm looking forward to share with you some of the comments that are in the thread. They're pretty interesting. Go ahead, Sister Roxy. You can unmute.
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought I had already. Good morning.
Morning.
Elder Palmer and everyone on the call. I just wanted to mention something in my observation of the presentation. It was very, very good presentation. I'm glad that Dr. Montgomery is around, because actually what I have come to realize and experience through my life of going to doctors after adult life more so than any other time, because we didn't believe in doctors when I was growing up. What is that when you say practicing physician, that's exactly what they're doing, practicing on you as a guinea pig. And that's why we end up in the conditions that we're in. And I'm so glad to see that he has taken the bull by the horn. And and I'm saying bull because that's an awesome responsibility, because things happen to people that's trying to do the right thing to help people to live and not die, if you understand what I'm saying. Because
I agree with you 100%. I do want to say to everybody, this whole idea of cutting people open to mess with their insides is a relatively new phenomenon in medicine. A doctor used to say, here, eat this food. Don't eat that food. Don't take alcohol. You don't find this anywhere in the Bible where somebody gets cut open. The only guy who gets cut open and lives in the Bible is Adam. Right? So that is not the way God practices medicine. But they have found it is very advantageous financially and other means by cutting you open. My friend Eric, what's Eric's last name? Eric Walsh. he says that, yeah, he could easily treat his patients with telling them to change their diet, but he said they won't do that. They would rather get to the brink and pay the money and have them cut them open. So I'm just saying we can turn back tide. The man said he had a 90-year-old patient with all kinds of problems, and he got rid of her 20 pills in like 4 days of just changing her diet. All right, go ahead, Sister Vicky, you're unmuted. Sister Vicky, you're unmuted.
Would you please relate to the young ladies? Great job. That was really very informative, and I liked it coming from young people, because a lot of these children's only vegetable is French fries. They don't eat green stuff. These little young kids don't like green stuff, and that's not good. It was good to know that we're eating, well, our age people are probably eating those foods that they shared. But this is something I'm going to put out as on all the mediums I have and all the contacts I have to share with our children, because sometimes children will listen to younger people than they will older people. So they did a great job in presenting it. It was very informative, but our people, and especially us Black women, need to adhere to what they said. Thank you so much.
I agree. It does make a difference who you hear from. Almost everybody in that presentation was somewhere between 18 and 20.
Yes.
18 and 20. So I see my sister on the line. Good morning, Dee. How are you? You're unmuted. Dee, go on.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sis. How are you doing?
Oh, good morning. Oh, it was such a pleasure to see that video on this morning. I did catch it on Saturday, and then I watched it a few times, had it shared with mommy, and it was just a complete joy to see those young ladies from the Adventist culture, I may add, and especially to see our very own Adriana/Tori. I want to say you and Melody have done a amazing job with Tori. Not to exclude any of the other individuals, but it was great to see our own. Tori has been working diligently, graduated at the top of her class in high school, and now moving on to be a doctor. I am so, so very proud of her. And she's a very, very hard worker. But not only that, Tori has a very kind, gentle spirit. And I can't wait to see what the Lord has in store for her. So I'm sure you are proud, and Melody, seeing her doing her presentation. So thank you so much for sharing it. And that information from all of them and everything that you shared was great.
Thank you so much, sis. And I was grateful to see my daughter. I mean, some people don't know she has some learning challenges, and she did graduate valedictorian, and it appears that she's going to graduate from college with a 3.99 or 3.94, something like that GPA, almost a perfect GPA, despite her challenges. So she works harder than most. She gets up earlier than most. Words look different on the page to her, and she has worked through it. And she told her story when she graduated from high school, and maybe she'll tell it again when she graduates from college. Nobody knew what she was going through. Some people could read a page once and get it. She'd have to read it 100 times. But when she got it, she got it. So that's just a lesson to anybody who's having some challenges learning.
And Elder, correct me too if I'm wrong. I know that you and Mel have been vegetarian, but I believe it was Alex and Tori that began you guys on your journey of being vegan. Is that correct?
I would say it's been about 6 years, maybe 7 years now, maybe a little bit longer. I'd say somewhere between 7 and 8 years ago. We've always been vegetarians for the most part. And Alex and Tori watched a video called What the Health? And I recommend any of y'all watch it. So they watched the documentary. I think Alex watched it first. She shared it with Tori. And then literally they got a garbage bag and they went into our refrigerator and they started throwing away everything that had dairy in it: eggs, cheese, milk, butter. And they just threw it all in the trash. And I was like, what are y'all doing? I paid for that. And they was like, Dad, you can't eat that ever again. Ever again. And literally one day we all went vegan in the whole house. Literally. Alex started it. Maybe it's 10 years ago. I don't know. But Alex started it. And that began my big weight loss thing. I lost tons of weight. I mean, if y'all look at my old videos on YouTube, when I had the big Martin Luther King face and my pants was big. So the vegan thing, just pounds just started melting off me. I was like butter, melting. It melted pounds right off of me. And so lately my wife has really been very conscientious about our diet. So she's like, I am not going to let you die on me. You know, she said, you got to live and take care of me. So last night she sliced squash, and you know, it looks like cucumbers. She sliced squash. She had real cucumbers on the plate. She had tomatoes, a handful of cashews. You know, cashews take away your urge to snack. If there's any snackers on the line, I'm a snacker. I love a little snack. But if you eat like a little handful of nuts, peanuts, cashews, walnuts, whatever, it will satisfy your snack urge, your carb urge. I learned that recently, and it has been working wonderfully. Let me see what else did she put on the plate. Mel, I know she's out there listening somewhere. Anyway, it was nothing but vegetables on it, no veggie meats, nothing. It's nothing. And I felt so full when we were done. So just a lesson for all of us. And the Bible says, and I would live and not die. All right, Sister Renee, go ahead. I got a few notes on the YouTube thread I want to share. Hopefully we'll get to it. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Go ahead, Sister Renee.
This was excellent. Thank you so much for doing this. So proud of your daughter too. That's so cool. I just wanted to also say, Amelia, one of her businesses is home healthcare, and her business differs with home healthcare to where she incorporates the health message and lifestyle in the care as a standard when she takes care of your loved ones. And she recently had a client to where she caught a drug that was causing an issue for her client, and for black women. The doctor knew about it, and she talked with the caregiver of the relative, and the doctor switched it. But the focus of her business isn't simply to care for the individual at home, it's to incorporate the healthy diet, the fresh air, and the lifestyle to make a difference in the quality of life with standard home care. And maybe she can do a presentation as well.
Well, she has an open invitation whenever she is ready. For those of you who don't know, Amelia is our resident medical expert right along with Dr. Ted. She's not just a person who chimes in. She really knows her stuff. And I see you, Mom. I'm coming to you. All right. So I'm going to come to you now, Mom, because I know if I don't hit you right now, you'll forget what you're going to say. So let me get you. Go ahead, Mom.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Amelia. She came and she helped me so much when I was sick. And I don't remember everything that she did. I remember two things. She had this whole uniform on. It was white, like to protect, like if you was going into a place that had all type of germs and things. But she was there, and she was there. I think that made the most important thing. She was there. I didn't know if I was coming. I didn't know if I was going. But I also wanted to notice one thing. When I watch a lot of times people that get these surgeries to lose weight, then they stop, they have to get on a good diet. And I used to tell them, if you get on a good diet first, you won't have to do the surgery. But I noticed one thing, I watch a lot. I noticed that white women, when they're larger than any black women you usually see. I mean, they're like 500 and 600 pounds, where the black woman, she's already 200 or 300 pounds too much. But I watched them because I know why sometimes we just watch these shows like that. But when you get a white woman that's big, they're usually bigger than the average black woman that's big.
Right. Yeah, that is true. So yeah, we have got to watch what we eat, ladies and gentlemen. Watch what we eat. Try to walk, try to exercise. The weather is changing. So find a reason to get outside. Find a reason to get outside. All right, I'm going to Sister Rita. And it's 7:01, so we're going to be landing the plane soon. Sister Rita, you can unmute yourself. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. I hear you, Sister Rita. Oh, she muted herself back. All right, Sister Rita, unmute again. There
Can
you
you
go.
hear me now?
We hear you again. Go ahead.
Okay, me and these buttons, I'm going to learn one of these days. I just want to echo everything that you and Denier have said. One of the beauties of being on a prayer call Bible study like this is that it not only gives us spiritual nourishment, but also gives us the holistic health nourishment that can keep us at the peak of our existence here on earth to do God's will. I'm so proud of Adriana and her beautiful sister, Alexandria. You know, the fruit does not fall far from the tree. They have the example of you and Melody, and you guys have had the example of both your parents in raising you properly and what to eat and what not to eat. This didn't just start a few years ago when you lost about 50 pounds. This started in your early childhood. It's imperative that we share this same kind of health news to our communities as we do the Word of God, because to live, you want to be healthy, not just existing, merely holding on, hanging on. Today's program was exceptional. I'm so proud of my nieces and nephews. I just tell you, God has a way of allowing our children to lead us, to teach us. And it's just a joy to see them proceed in your footsteps and carry on the example that you've set before them. This was a delight today to listen to our youth, and I thank you so much for this program. It was enriching, enlightening, and encouraging, and most helpful where our diets are concerned. We got to give up those chitlins and ham hocks and neck bones and all those things that are part of our tradition. Tradition can kill you quickly. Thank you so much. This was a delight to listen to today.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. So grateful that somebody here will get a blessing from it. You know, I just want to get you guys off all of those pills and things that doctors are putting you on, and all of those supplements. And, you know, supplements have their place, but they don't compare. You've got to take 10,000 pills to equal one apple. So,
amen.
You know, do the apple. It's cheaper and more healthy. Let's pray out. You guys take care. Don't have time to get to the comments on YouTube today. But basically, I will tell you in brief, we buy a lot of fresh fruits around here. When a fruit looks like it's about to start going bad, we throw it in the freezer, throw it in the Ziploc, throw it in the freezer, and it becomes a smoothie later on. Nothing dies here. Nothing dies here. All right, let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for your grace and mercy and kindness towards us. And Father, we just ask that you help us to renew our minds and our spirits and our bodies so we can be vessels properly used for you. So we ask that you keep us, because we cannot keep ourselves. Give us discipline. Help us to learn how to fast, dear Father, so we can starve our lust and starve the lust of our flesh. If we can do that, Father, we can get control over our diet, because that was the thing that got Adam and Eve in trouble. We can get our diets under submission, then everything else, dear Father, is possible. We trust you and we surrender our will to you. We ask these and so many more blessings in your holy Son, Yeshua's name. Amen, amen, and amen again. You guys take care. Have an awesome and incredible day on purpose. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on Cover to Cover. And I also look forward to seeing you at the gates of the kingdom. For what would it profit us to gain the whole world and to lose our own soul? So until I meet you and greet you, walk with the King today and be a blessing. Today's call is officially